Geographical Medal is the American Geographical Society's oldest, dating back to 1896. Its intent to reward the spirit and achievement of exploration. Its first recipient was Robert Peary, whose expeditions took him to uncharted parts of the globe. But wide-ranging exploration can take many forms. To appreciate what that might mean, we need but turn to the life work of Jerry Dobson, who keeps charting new paths in geography, and not just in one area of direction. Dr. Dobson can quite accurately be described as a geographical explorer who has planted his flag in many arenas. Some of his early contributions came while at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, where he rose to the rank of distinguished member of the research and development staff, working on energy, computing, and telecommunications, and the emerging field of geospatial science. He made important contributions to the developing field of geoinformation science. Dobson's work may have been technical, but his interests are broad. He was among the first advocating, innovating, and pushing GIS to become usable, shareable, and appreciated. He applied his expertise to important social and environmental issues like emergency management, transportation of hazardous materials, and water availability for energy development. Notable among his efforts is the Landscan Global Population Database that is used worldwide during all types of natural disasters for estimating populations at risk. He created the United Nations standard for representing landmines, minefields, and mine actions on maps, which has helped prevent the suffering that results from accidentally stepping on and detonating a landmine. His understanding of the power of technical geospatial tools has made him highly sensitive to their ability to do harm. While many enthusiastically celebrated ever easier access to geolocation data, Dobson warned of ever easier co-optation, allowing some involuntary control over others, what he called geoslavery. His early concern with the ethical use of geospatial information is now widely shared. Now emeritus, Dr. Dobson remains unstoppable. His spirit of exploration is taking him to outer banks and shorelines of the world, the now buried continental shelves, where, working with collaborators from across the globe, he is delving into the human patterns of use and migration that have long been concealed by water. The full range of Dr. Dobson's contributions can be seen in his more than 200 publications in journals including Annals of the AAG, Geographical Review, Journal of Biogeography, and Information Society. His many technical reports, his persuasive opinion pieces, many of which strongly advocate for the importance of geography and geospatial science, and his numerous public appearances at events, academic, professional, or public. Some of his most significant honors include selection as a Jefferson Science Fellow by the National Academy of Sciences, Senior Scientist in the U.S. Department of State, American Association for the Advancement of Science Fellow, the Cartography and GIS Society's Lifetime Achievement Award, and the James R. Anderson Medal of Honor in Applied Geography. His advice has been sought by congressional committees, the National Center for Geographic Information and Analysis, International Organization for Standardization, and National Committee for Digital Cartographic Data Standards. AGS is also fortunate in having Dr. Dobson serve as president from 2002 to 2016 and now president emeritus. He took over the organization when it required a skilled navigator to find the best path to updated missions. Therefore, for these reasons and more, on behalf of its grateful members, worldwide scholars, and all who recognize the importance of excellence in geographical research and exploration, the American Geographical Society honors Dr. Jerome Dobson by presenting him with the Cullum Geographical Medal on this, the 19th day of November, in the year 2020 in New York City. Congratulations, Dr. Dobson. Please give us some words.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you. Those kind words. Thank you very much. The Cullum Geographical Medal exists in a class of its own. How can I say thank you enough to express my true feelings? How can I assess what this piece of gold means to me or I to it? What can I say today that will serve AGS, geography, and society commensurate with the stature of the medal itself. The first I heard about receiving it was a surprise announcement by Deborah Popper at the end of a virtual council meeting. I was speechless. Later that day, I wrote Lee Schwartz and Jack Dangerman, "The honor is even greater knowing that I share it with you two." Jack Dangerman poignantly replied, "When I received this award, my parents were still alive, and they really thought it was special." Together, Lee, Jack, and I are the only three people ever to receive both the Cullum Geographical Medal from AGS and the Anderson Medal of Honor from AAG. Sadly, my own parents did not live to see the Cullum, but my wife, sons, brothers, grandchildren, and other family and friends are thrilled. There's a message in the roll call of Cullum medalists. You'll find men and women, rich and poor, explorers and scholars, business and government leaders, physical and human geographers, terrestrial and ocean scientists. Some are household names, others unknown today outside our discipline. The roster is an eclectic blend worthy of our discipline. Its breadth and depth implore the aspiring scholar or practitioner of any discipline. Be a geographer. No apologies, no half measures. Study well and you can succeed to the utmost, whether you choose academia, business, or government. Ignore the curtain that disciplines often erect between basic and applied science. Reject thematic, spatial, and methodological boundaries that limit other minds. Keep on seeking and searching, especially when you reach the edge of what is known, accepted, and acceptable. In that unknown zone, you will learn that science itself is rife with errors and omissions due to lack of geographic inquiry among those entrusted with its stewardship. Many conventional theories, developed with little thought for geographic relationships, spatial logic, or scientific integration, have stood unchallenged for decades. Any conscientious geographer can find lots of low-hanging fruit. Discoveries will come, but acceptance may take decades, since that depends on the culture of science far more than factual evidence. Only by joining the fray of science theory ourselves, and occasionally drawing blood, will we establish our discipline as a respected force in the upper echelons of science, science policy, and public policy influenced by science. Geographers sometimes feel they were born too late, after everything had already been discovered. Many of us would like to be in terra incognita, adventuring and discovering places never seen before. Instead, we try to learn more about familiar places and the processes occurring in them. That's what I did with lake acidification in the Adirondack Mountains, continental drift and plate tectonics, iodine in human evolution, and Aquaterra. Recently, however, it was my immense pleasure to discover digitally an actual place unknown to science, scores of islands that existed 30 to 8,000 years ago, then disappeared with rising oceans. Giorgio Spada, Gaia Galassi, and I named them the Bering Transitory Archipelago and proposed a new stepping stones hypothesis to explain how the first Americans crossed over from Siberia to Alaska. The Cullum Geographical Medal does not lend itself to idle boast. Mention the name of any well-known recipient, and all pretense of modesty is gone, usually followed by the humbling question, so what did you do? I lamely offer a couple of world standards because that's easy to say. The University of Kansas, John Kostelnik and I developed the current world standard for how landmines, minefields, and mine actions are represented on maps. At Oak Ridge National Laboratory, I led the effort with Eddie Bright and Phil Coleman to develop Landscan, the de facto world standard for estimating populations at risk in disasters of all sorts worldwide. If nightly news says, for instance, this hurricane, chemical leak, or war may threaten 30 million people, that's how it's calculated. The number helps responders determine how many blankets, bandages, and doctors to send. Landscan is a key component of epidemiological models, including those for COVID-19. The gift of Cullum is gratitude and humility. Humility may sound odd for such a high praise, but that's what medals do. They cause recipients and others to think deeply about great people and the deeds they do. Inevitably, any self-respecting non-narcissist must ask, do I belong among them? My candid answer is that I do identify with Cullum medalists who fought for ideas, as I did with automated geography, geoslavery, and Aquaterra, or instigated new institutions, as I did with the National Center for Geographic Information Analysis, and helped others do with the University Consortium for Geographic Information Science, and with NOAA's Coastal Change Analysis Program. Or those who debunked errors in conventional wisdom, as Josh Campbell and I did with the flatness of U.S. states in Geographical Review. I identify with Rachel Carson, who had her own cause, as I have with geographic education, especially in foreign policy, automated geography, geoslavery, and saving geography itself. If you don't already have such a passion of your own, you're welcome to mine. Feel free to follow up on any of the above. Along the way, I've collected a few points of pride of my own. My 1979 article in Geographical Review is now recognized as the first GIS research article ever to appear in a mainstream geography journal. My 1983 essay on automated geography sparked a journal debate that lasted more than a decade and is considered to be a turning point in the debate over the place of GIS in the discipline of geography. For a quarter century, I stood on middle ground, urging geographers to embrace GIS and the GIS community to embrace geography. I coined the term geoslavery to characterize the greatest societal risk of human tracking. I am lead author on NOAA's Protocols for Large Area Change Analysis, published in 1995 but still cited today. I coined the name Aquaterra to recognize a physical global feature as large as South America. In cycles lasting thousands of years, it shifted from shallow ocean to dry land or coastal wetland as ice sheets waxed and waned over 120,000 years. My brother Jeff Dobson and I wrote 2 novels about it to educate the public in Socratic fashion. Now we've instigated the not-for-profit Aquaterra Exploration Foundation to search for evidence of what it contained. In my whole career, there's no greater satisfaction than this. A few years ago, while visiting Tennessee, a 12-year-old boy from North Carolina said to me, "Did you know scientists say ... and proceeded to summarize what Josh Campbell and I had written in Geographical Review. The boy heard about our research on a science news website for teenagers, but didn't know I was involved in any way. He just thought it was important enough to remember and wanted to share. Likewise, I take tremendous pride in the students I've taught, foremost among them Matt Dunbar, John Kostelnik, and Josh Campbell, on whom the future of geography depends. And my 2 sons, Eric and Craig, who share their geographic inheritance through entrepreneurship and medicine. I end here with sincere thanks to Deborah Popper and the Honors Committee for selecting me. Thank you, AGS Council, for all you do and for approving me. Thank you, John Krnarski, Chris Tucker, Marie Price, John Gould, and all counselors and staff for making AGS the vibrant institution that it is today. My deepest appreciation to Mary Lynn Bird, Richard Durfee, Bob Honey, the late Bob Pepleys, Bud Cross, Jeff Dobson, Peter Herlihy, my wife Gwen, and many others without whom I could not have pursued the ideas, institutions, and causes acknowledged here today. Thank you.
The Alexander and Ilse Melamed Medal is given